One thing that I hadn't brought up just yet, this is Kieran Shannon's column on the back of the Examiner today, and it's really good. It's about how Martin O'Neill needs to change as a coach and to evolve. Needs to tell the team who's playing maybe more than an hour before kick-off. He's
saying, look, bringing that up in the next press conference with Martin.
Well, so he's comparing him to the Al Pacino character on Any Given Sunday, who goes through this journey in the film.
Oh, another good actor. Oh, now you've kind of warms there.
That is a great film.
And he was Shay Given's new autobiography as well, isn't it? Saturday, exactly, yeah.
Named by some point.
Just deviating slightly.
But that was the point, is that like he was an old school character who actually ends up having this massive row with the media and barging over one of them, John McGinley, I think it is, who but by the end of it, he realises what I did before isn't going to continue to get me to where I need to go now. And somebody needs to have that conversation with O'Neill and say, you need to change a little bit. These players will not respond the same way you would have responded to Brian Clough, or even the way that the Richard Dunne era player at Aston Villa would have responded to you. This is a different squad. You need to coach them. You need to make them better players. You need to stop telling them that they're technically inferior to the opposition.
Yeah, all I'd say to that, Jared, is like, obviously we're making big presumptions here. We're on the outside kind of looking in. I mean, some people are closer to the setup than others, like have their ear to the ground to a large extent. But I don't think it's telling any lies to say probably Martin doesn't like to tax the players maybe too much in terms of the days leading up to the game, in terms of preparing the players' organisation, the tactical side of things. You know, I suppose it's maybe not a right or wrong. Some people might say you go your own way in that respect, but for me, like, I kind of struggle with it from a general point, getting away from kind of Martin, the Ireland team, just from a general point, speaking about it. I mean, I was lucky enough, I walked around under 19s like last year for a period of time. And it was just, the time with the players was absolutely invaluable. And every moment we got, whether it's on the training pitch, or more importantly, actually in around the hotel, you can't have them on the training pitch all day for obvious reasons. But the time spent with them in the hotel, in the video analysis room, walking the individual units, the defensive unit, midfield unit, walking in small groups, individual work with players one-to-one, sitting down with them, talking them through their role with the team, and just getting them prepared in terms of the defensive, offensive setup of the team. Everybody understands their roles within the team. And I think that's taken as a given in any, I'd say in this era, I think in any era, to be honest with you, particularly more so now, I think players kind of want that information. And I really feel as if you're kind of, like I said, on a general point, I really feel as if you're handicapping your team if you go onto the pitch and you're not fully prepared. The players are not fully prepared. I think you have, as a coach, as a manager, as a management team, you have a professional responsibility actually to the players to do that work. I think it's a given. And it's no surprise, you look at the best teams around Europe, look at the teams in England, the top teams, the managers, Guardiola, we've spoken about Mourinho, Klopp has been prevalent this morning, Pochettino, Conte, they're absolutely manic. It's no coincidence they're manic in terms of preparation, the detail. And many times we hear players, oh, it's the same stuff, same routine, shape, more information, same information. But it's done with a reason. You know, there's a method to it and there's a logic to it, and they reap the benefits. And these are managers who are coaching the very best individual players in the world. If there was an argument for any manager saying, oh lads, off you go, you're the best in the world, you don't need any instruction, but they don't do it. So they obviously realise the value of that type of work, that type of preparation. And for me, I'd say I put my coaching hat on. I'm not qualified to do most things, but the one thing I'm qualified as a coach, and I've got a coaching certificate, doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about. But my general experience as a player, I couldn't get enough of that information. That gave me confidence going onto a football pitch, whether it was club or international football, knowing I was prepared, knowing I had clear pictures in my head, knowing what I was actually going to face in terms of opposition team, individual players I was going to be up against. I needed that kind of reassurance going onto the pitch.
Do you feel that maybe there's not enough of that in Irish football, that our culture hasn't been that way down through the years, coming from the top down, all the way back to Jack Charlton, where, you know, it seems like there would have been a certain amount of work done on shape, but it was only done ever, the game planning scenario would have been, we're going to hoof it up, press up, and, and that from that point forward, that's kind of the amount of work would be, we have one style of playing, and if it goes wrong, and that's our culture? Yeah,
but even I don't think so, to be honest with you. No, I don't think it is necessarily our culture. I think we have our own kind of. It'd be nice to have our own kind of identity to a certain extent in terms of how we play. I think that can evolve over the period of time. I genuinely think traditionally we have the type of players like we can play like a high energy game. I think we can mix our game up. I don't think we have to be one thing or the other. I don't think we have to be a Jack Charlton type of team. But the Jack Charlton type of team played one way, very regimented in how they played, but they understood the roles. They knew how they were going to play. You know, there's no kind of indecision on the pitch in terms of, are we looking to play short, are we looking to go long? Everybody knew the roles within the team. It was very effective. Now, people might say we had players to play a different way. Maybe even the players who played under Jack would admit to that. We could have been as successful playing a different way, manner of football. But the fact is, they played a certain way, that the manager set them up that way, and everybody was under no illusions in terms of how they were going to play. So I've got a little bit of respect for that in terms of, well, actually, there was clear signals there for the players in terms of how they were going to play. So, yeah, just as a general point for me, I think that, and like I said, that's from the outside kind of looking in. But I do think on occasions I look at the team in terms of, even from the stands when I'm looking down at that, and you do sense at times a little bit of uncertainty in terms of the players, particularly out of possession of the football. I think when you're going after the football, you can see it clearly. When a team's set up in terms of going after the ball, they're really cohesive unit, they're compact, there's triggers all over the pitch, people react to one another, and you know what I mean? And you can see that in the very best teams. Liverpool are a good example in terms of how they hunt the ball. Pochettino's teams, all of those teams, you can see it, it's evident, it's jumping, you know what I mean? You can see it clearly, like on the football pitch. So I think if you're asking me, people talk about, oh, we're punching above our weight. We're not punching above our weight, and that's not a criticism of Martin or the players. But we are not. Punching above our weight implies that we're playing to our maximum. There's nothing more to come. This is it. This is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
But it's not. And nobody hits their maximum. Sport generally, nobody collectively hits their maximum 100% week in, week out. We got to get as close as you can to it. And if you're asking me, where's the biggest jump we can make with this team? Where's the biggest improvement that we can make? It's not in terms of the type of football that we're playing. It's not getting the ball in and making a few more passes and keeping possession, trying to become a kind of a possession-based team. So I have no problem going back to front as early as possible. For me, it's when we haven't got the ball and we actually go hunting the ball back. That's the big improvement. That's the kind of 15-20% jump that we can make very quickly, because we like to hunt the ball. We've got honest players who'll actually do the graft, they'll do the hard stuff, and if we can get a level of organisation to that as well, we can become even more effective, I think, as a country, and enjoy even more success going forward.
Yeah, okay, so there's definitely room to improve. I think that's kind of in keeping with what Kieran Shannon was saying, that actually there is a way for us to get better, and primarily that's through coaching and revering the notion of coaching and actually asking the players to improve, as opposed to not taxing them too much in a couple of days before a game.
Yeah, it's that happy medium. But I think players, towards even the end of my career, Ger, I've noticed the players wanted that information. They were open to it. You know, traditionally the more older players, like, you know what I mean, maybe were a little bit closed off to it. Not anymore, and certainly not in the modern game.
Let me go back to the whole notion of rumours, because there were rumours that the Irish players didn't like the fact that Brian Kerr made them watch DVDs, and they were like, oh, come on, we come on international duty to have crack and go out and have a good time, and then Kerr came in and made them sit down and watch stuff, and the rumours around the squad, now it might have been players who weren't getting picked.
Well, this is the good thing, because I can actually talk about that. You're talking about Martin, I'm on the outside looking in, but at least in Brian's reign I was actually there and I was part of it. So I can speak for every other player in the group, but I personally don't think there was an overload of information under Brian. I might be the exception to the rule. I couldn't get enough of it, to be honest with you. Like I said, those 20-minute, 25-minute sessions in the video analysis room for me were invaluable to me. In fact, you know, me and a couple of defenders, maybe myself personally, I would have got hold of Brian McCarthy, who was the video analyst at the time. Brian, if he got to 15 minutes, and need to have a look at a couple of these lads that haven't seen a winger play before. There's the lad who came on for a sub their previous game, because you wouldn't be familiar with all the international players, like so that type of thing. So for me, I personally thought Brian struck the balance absolutely right. It was left to me actually doing it. Well, I'd probably be 10 times worse. Yeah. But that's just a personal thing. So obviously you have to factor in terms of the players. You don't want to tax them too much. But generally speaking, players know, they moan as much as they do. I know it's the biggest moaner of all, but they understand the importance of that information now. It's helping them. It's helping them achieve their goals in terms of qualifying for major championships. They want to be on the biggest stage of all, and to do it, you have to do the work. And I think generally speaking nowadays, players buy into it, and I think they embrace it, and to a certain extent they expect it.
Is the door still open for Brian at the FAI?
In what capacity?
I don't know, is it going to be a consultancy basis? Is it going to be in development? It surely seems, after everything that's been written over the last couple of weeks, that it's somebody not only that we should get in, but somebody that we perhaps need.
You know, I think that's a fair point. I think as a country, you know, you need to embrace everybody, the talent pool out there. We talk about players, but even in terms of coaching, managerial, Brian's got a huge amount of experience, so you understand that. You know, things aren't as simple as that. We all know how kind of politics works, personal relationship up at the top, all of those things kind of influence it. But you're right, I think in a country such as Ireland, as small as a country as we are, we've got to tap into all of our talent pool. And that, I'm not just talking about players here, I'm talking about ex-players with kind of their coaching ability, Brian's managerial experience. We love to see us pull all of that kind of talent together. We've got to use as much as that as possible, as we're doing in other areas. Rugby, probably haven't got the time. Again, I look at the rugby team under Smith in terms of, we're talking about kind of organisation, how they prepare, playing to your strengths, understanding the weaknesses of the opposition, targeting the weaknesses, being ruthless in your execution. Jim Gavin in Dublin is probably a good example as well. These kind of principles apply across the board in all different sports.
Yeah, Jim McGuinness comes up in the Kieran Shannon piece. He's saying that at some point in the future, his approach will actually be the right one for football in Ireland. I know there's definitely a reticence within the football community to embrace Jim McGuinness because he comes as an outsider and hasn't served his time, is the general consensus. But anyway, that would have been his philosophy as well. It's like, get the analysis, talk up your own team, give them self-confidence, create the identity, give everybody a clear definition within their roles, and if anybody steps outside that, they're gone from the team. And it worked for Donegal.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Those kind of clear principles that you're talking about. I think you got to be careful the environment doesn't get too kind of sterile. At the end of the day, I think in terms of the environment that you create is so important as well. So you need to get the happy balance right between actually doing the work, but also at the same time, people need to enjoy coming into that group. They need to enjoy each other's company. The environment needs to be right. Yes, you've got to work, but at the same time as well, you need to strike the happy balance. There's people that you're dealing with here as well, you know what I mean, not kind of computer. So I think generally speaking, we've struck the balance quite right. I don't think it's been perfect over the years, but generally the best teams, whether club or international football, do strike that balance. They get the work done, the players embrace it, they understand the relevance of it, the importance of it, and they do it, and yet they have that real camaraderie as well, that kind of team spirit, everybody pulling for each other, which traditionally has never been a problem for us.